Manoah and his wife, they give birth to a son called Samson. You know the story. Now, Samson is a Nazarite. Samson is set apart only for God and nothing else but for God. So his mother is given instructions how to go about raising this boy. No razor, no coming close to any dead animals, no alcohol, because he's a Nazarite. He's someone that is set aside by God, for God, in God. Only that. But here is the thing that caught my eye with this guy. As given to God as he was, as from God as he was, there is something that is wrong with him. He is fascinated by the forbidden. There are things that God do not want him to do. Oh, now listen to me very careful. God says to him, and his family says to him, his father and his mother says to him, you can have a wife anywhere where you want to have one. In fact, just so you know, there were 3 women in the life of this man. 2 other women were not given names. The first woman that the Bible is talking about, he got married to that woman. The problem of that woman, is that she is exactly forbidden for him to have. The second woman, she's a harlot. He is not supposed to have her. Forbidden. The third woman, her name is Delilah. Forbidden for Samson to have this woman. But watch this. There is no way that Samson can separate himself with this woman. He finds himself attracted, craving and wanting, desiring and perspiring profusely just to get a hold of these 3 women. Even though he knows, I'm a godly man, I'm a God-fearing man, and on the outside we see this guy, he's moving with God. We understand this guy is with God. He's operating in God. Everything that he does associated with God. But deep down in his heart, there is something about him that we don't know. Somehow we found out later on that even though Samson was a man of God, even though Samson was a full-time consecrated for God, but he was seriously desiring the forbidden. It could not be women for you as a Christian, but don't act smart with me. Each and every Christian, somewhere in their hearts, there is something that you know this is forbidden, but you cannot seem not to think about it. You find yourself thinking about it. You find yourself doing it. You find yourself in touch with it. You know this is forbidden, but you are fascinated by the forbidden. But you find yourself having been fascinated to do this thing that God forbids you to do. It's a nature of the flesh. Come on, let me say this. A Christian that is enclosed in a flesh, it is impossible for your flesh to be born again. So your spirit is born again. Your spirit craves for God, but your flesh is fascinated by the forbidden. You have a war that you are fighting. You are caught in the middle. This side is the Spirit of God, wanting everything that has to do with God in your spirit. This side is your flesh, wanting everything to do with your flesh in your flesh. You are a full-time dedicated Christian, but excuse me, somehow, you are fascinated by the forbidden. This is the life of Samson. You find him being fascinated by this woman that is not supposed to be taken. He goes to the harlot. He goes and marries an enemy. He goes and have Delilah. And here is the story about Delilah. The Bible doesn't say Delilah loved Samson. No, the Bible, Samson was the one who was in love with the forbidden. Let me repeat this again. Samson was the one in love with the forbidden. Because this is what we find in our days, in our Christian's life, where we are living. We find ourselves having been attracted, having cravings, having love, having been interested, and you find yourself thinking and you manipulating your mind, and you are there having been full of God, but you are still somehow fascinated by the forbidden. The Bible says his parents said to him, boy, you can't have this woman. Samson said, I want him, get this, get this woman for me. This is a very, very same thing that we are doing as Christians this day. We are, when people are looking at us, we are in fire for God. When people are looking at us, we go to church, we dress as Christians, but we are dressing a mind that is fascinated by the forbidden. So the Bible says, then this guy gets involved with the forbidden. Watch this very careful. He did not get to marry to Delilah. As a man of God, he was not married to Delilah, but he was sexually active with this woman. He was doing the forbidden with this woman. He went to the woman that God said no to. He did things with the woman that God said no to. In other words, his flesh actually was more into him than as he was more to God. He could not balance it because there is no balance between the flesh and God. There is no way. If you want to balance it, you need to nail your flesh to the cross, and you are going to be able to make it. But one way or the other, every Christian, everywhere, somewhere, somehow, there is this attraction of the forbidden. There is this attraction by the forbidden. There is fascinated by the forbidden that is happening. And the Bible says, because of this, let me tell you, we cannot blame Delilah, because the Bible says 3 times Samson said no to Delilah. When Delilah was saying to Samson, tell me your secret. In other words, Delilah was there for only one mission, and Samson knew the mission of Delilah. In other words, he had a choice to say, yes, here is my secret, or he had just a choice to say, I cannot tell you my secret, or he had a choice to lie and tell us something else and keep the secret of God that he had. But he knew exactly, this woman, even though I'm the one who loves her, but she has a mission. She has a mission, and the mission was called the mission of money. I'm gonna hit some nerve right now. Follow me very careful. A woman who follows a man because of money, because you know that the leaders of Philistine went to Delilah and said, we are going to give you money if you can get the secret of this man. And we find these days, these things are happening in our women. They follow men. They have sugar daddies everywhere. They have men they are following for money. They're not following for love, but they're following for money. If you can provide, they are there. If you can provide, they are attracted to you. If you can provide, if you can provide, they don't let you go. This is the same exercise that we saw a long time ago, that Delilah hung on Samson, and the reason was because she was promised money. Because of money, she could not stay away from this man. And this is what is happening. Our sisters right now, they cling on to man, and the reason why they cling on to man is because money is involved. Though we cannot blame Delilah, but Delilah, one way or the other, has a hand right in the middle of the downfall of this man of God. In other words, even though Samson is totally responsible for what happened to him, but it was provoked by this woman. What am I saying to you? As a Christian, be careful that as much as you are attracted to the things of God, but let your mind be renewed, because the danger of not a renewed mind is that it will forever be fascinated by the forbidden. And the Bible says Samson was captured, his eyes were removed, and only to find that he became a laughing stock. But here is what I love about God. When God gave Samson a gift, he placed it in a place where the gift can regenerate. I'm going to say it again. He placed it in a place where the gift can rise again. He placed it in a place where the gift can grow again. He placed the gift of Samson in his and he put his hair in his head, and he designed his head to be able that even if you can cut the hair, but the hair can germinate, the hair can grow again, because we are serving a God of a second chance. While he was giving Samson a gift, he actually made even a second plan, knowing that after you have fallen, my boy, I have a plan for you. Your gift, even if it can be cut off, but I have placed it in a place where it can germinate, it can grow again. Even if you can be fascinated by the forbidden, even if it can take and get hold of you, even if you can fall, but remember this: God has placed this gift that you have in a place where it can grow again. And watch this as I'm closing. The Bible says, and his hair began to grow. Here is the funny thing about the story. He had enemies all around him. Not even one of them could tell that his hair has now grown. What do you call this? The reason why they took off his eyes is because they shaved his hair and he was without power now. They take him and they place him right in front of everyone. Not even one person recognized that his hair has grown now. And let me tell you something, when God is about to pay revenge for you, he will blind your enemies. Come on now. They want to see you coming. They will be shocked and be surprised. Suddenly, you have been elevated. They won't see you coming. They won't understand the maneuvering of God. They won't understand the action and the elevation of God, because they set him there and thousands of people were there and they were all looking at him and they say to him, perform for us. And they did not see that this guy has gained his hair back. In other words, when God was about to revenge for Samson in his enemy, he took a decision, because Samson had no eyes anymore. His enemy took off the eyes of Samson. God went to the enemy and did the same thing they did to Samson. He blinded them. He made them not to see that his hair has now grown, because God can pay a revenge for you, because God can do this. The Bible says if the enemy steals something and gets something from you, he will return it 7 times, because that's the God that we are serving. They took off his eyes. God struck them with blindness and they could not see anymore that this guy is now dangerous. I am here to assure you that even though you have attraction of the forbidden, even if it can cut you down, even if it can make you fall, but rest assured your hair will grow again. But rest assured your enemies cannot see you. They did not see him being dusted off by God. They did not hear him praying to die with them. They did not see his hair being grown again, because God has blinded them. I declare and I declare as a prophet of God, right now you are rising up and God is striking your enemies with the blindness. They're striking your enemies with short sight that they cannot see you anymore. But one way or the other, you are becoming elevated. You are becoming prosperous. God is restoring you. God is taking you back. God is making you a champion again. You will rise and not fall again. You will rise and stand again. The God that we serve is a God of a second chance. Be rest assured, all things shall be well with you. Don't give up now. God bless you.